Yeah, great.
Whoa, this ain't going.
See down the side. And
But I appreciate everybody on the chat tonight for your comments. Well, it's Thursday night again, and welcome to the Bee Connection. Been a very interesting week, and I want to start out with apologizing to everybody about last Thursday. We ended up having an injury in the family, not including just running behind ourselves. So far, the injury's not doing too good. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully, it turns out well. And we also had that shooting that went on, and a lot of stuff happened. It was really rough, and we just decided not to have the chat. So I do apologize for that. Need to be a little bit better, probably, of getting an email out to everybody, or find a way to give everybody a heads up we're not going to be on. But anyway, we're glad you're here with us tonight. Let's talk about beekeeping. We are running out of time. The goldenrod is bloomed in my area. They're all over the bees are all over the asters. They are working as hard as they can in several hives this week. My hives, for the most part, look fairly decent. They still need some sugar water put on them, I think, to finish up. But I did visit a couple other folks' bee yards, and they had not been feeding their bees, and there is nothing on them. They have no honey whatsoever. Even with the goldenrod right now coming in, you see the nectar starting to build up, but there's nothing capped whatsoever. And that's not what you want this time of year. You really want plenty of capped honey. For us, it's usually at least a medium. And the horizontals, if you have those, you need at least 3 to 5 frames of capped honey with those deeps. So if you're not there and you're checking your bees, definitely need to get there if you can. Good seeing you tonight, Lee. Thanks for being with us. So that's kind of what's going on in our bee yards. Just continue to monitor our bees. Hope to do a treatment coming up probably next week and see where the bees look from there. So it's been beautiful weather. My goodness, I've never seen a stretch of such pretty weather. We did get a little shower of rain on Tuesday, just enough to knock the dust down, but the temperatures are running right around 70, which is perfect for us. So what about you, Keith? What's going on down there in your area?
Yeah, sounds very similar. The goldenrod's finally popped down here, and the critters are all over it. Bees and moths and native pollinators and bumblebees and wasps and everything you could think of. So, yeah, Hope said there, I thought you were on vacation. Yeah, my shorts are running a little bit behind what actually is going on. So you'll see me on vacation for about the next week on my shorts, but I'm actually here. So don't mean to mislead you, but that's just the way it works out. So but yeah, just like you, Ricky, I've been in my hives. I've been in some of the folks that I'm helping, been in their hives. It varies greatly. The hives that hadn't been fed, there's some that really need to be fed. So I made sure those folks got some feed on those hives. Now mine, I've got some that feel like a box of rocks. and then I fed a few of them that needed it before we got into the fall flow. But man, right now it hasn't rained a lot lately, but the bees look a lot like springtime. They're coming in and out like bullets, like they're bringing in some nectar. So definitely a lot of pollen coming
Tons
in.
of pollen coming in.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So things are looking pretty good down here right now. The asters are just starting to bloom a little bit, but the goldenrod and the wing stem it's covered up now. So that's going well.
That's awesome. And what's your temperatures been running down there, Keith, where you're at?
It's been like you were talking. Gosh, last week it was lows in the 50s, highs in the 70s. It was sweet, low 70s, mid 70s. Now today it got up in the 80s, and it's supposed to be close to 90, I think, tomorrow. So so the 70s are over with. I haven't really looked out into next week to see what's going on, but I know it's warmed back up or warming back up. We could really use some rain though. It's messing around today. We got back from the beach yesterday. It's really dry here. I was hoping it would rain while we were gone, but the rain they were calling for it when we left, but then they just took it out of the forecast. So we didn't do it. So it's funny how they can do that. So
I do know. I think for us next Thursday and Friday is supposed to maybe get a pretty good shower. It looks like this pattern that we've kind of been stuck in might start changing a little bit, and maybe some tropical storms. So we'll see what goes on with that. So
yeah, a lot of times this time of year it seems like it almost takes a tropical storm to get us any rain, which is it's a bad way to have to do it, but that's just the way it works. So but yeah, the grass is a bit crunchy right now.
Yeah. Well, Tom, what's going on in your area, brother? I see you ain't got your significant other, so that may be a good thing or a bad thing.
Oh no, it's fine. She's just a little bit tired this evening. We were gone all last week, and this week she actually volunteered to work at the school that she kind of subs at from time to time. So she agreed to help out and work all this week. So she's had a lot going on. So she's like, I'm just going to lay down. We just finished eating dinner. So anyway, I said, no problem. I said, if I need help, I'll call you.
And how's your bees doing, Tom? I do know you guys were on vacation, but have you kind of messed around with them a little bit to see how they are or anything
Yeah,
like
sure
that?
have. Yeah, I was messing around with them before I left. And then all I'm really doing right now is checking the queen right, making sure that they are queen right, and making sure that I'm liking what I'm seeing with the queens, and then making sure they have food. They're kind of building those winter nests right now. We finished our last round of Apigard. I think it was over 3 weeks ago now. I'd have to look back on my notes, but I believe it was over 3 weeks. We kind of waited for those cool spells, which would have liked to have them all done a little bit earlier than that, but temperatures wouldn't allow me to do that whenever I was using the thymol-based product. So kind of is what it is. I was a little more cautious this year when treating with thymol-based product, as last year I had a little bit more of a negative effect on some of my nucleus colonies, and I wasn't going to do that again. It's part of that beekeeper live and learn mentality.
Right.
You typically only make the what I would consider harsh mistakes once. Most of us, right? But I mean, I don't mind playing around a little bit and trying things out. That's always a good thing. It intrigues me. It keeps me plugged in and keeps me going and understanding, what you can get by with. But nonetheless, it's kind of what Keith is talking about. We're basically just trying to get the colonies set up for winter. Hey, can you guys give me just 1 minute? I've got someone knocking at my door, so I don't know if it's one of my kids' friends. So just give me a minute here.
Yep. So while Tom is off and about, there he comes back.
That was quick.
That's very quick.
It was my son's wife.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. He's not married.
Oh, she must be a good one if you're going to say that. So
she is. She's a nice girl. Her and her family are really great people, and as parents, we always have these ideas of who we like to see our kids with. I don't tell my kids who they date or who they can't date. I've tried to do my job as a parent and set them up for success and a good mentality and a good understanding before they get to that. Now, that doesn't mean that we all don't make mistakes, right? But nonetheless, I tried to instill good qualities into my kids, which is, I've said this before, and given in light of what was happening in the world here more recently, it kind of makes you rethink things a little bit and understand things. And recently, it's kind of funny. I've actually had some, not to bounce down a different road or topic, but maybe this is a prudent, but kind of helps you to kind of reevaluate things a little bit, and just make sure that you're on the correct path that's right for you and what have you. But anyway, I've gotten a lot of great compliments from some customers of mine about my boys who work for me and do a lot of just daily operation stuff out in the field. Just recently, it's just kind of weird. And hasn't been something I've asked for. It's people just offered that information up saying, hey, how they appreciate what they do, how that they help out. So some of our customers might be a little bit older. So they'll ask, they always stop, put a smile on their face and ask if there's something else that needs to be done or something they can help out with, which is, something that makes you feel good about as a parent. Right. So anyway,
absolutely.
Didn't mean to digress, but I feel like maybe that was something that should have been shared. So anyway, yeah, we were just making. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I meant to ask you real quick before we move on, and maybe we'll mention this again later on.
Sure.
How many people are we up to for the dinner? Do you know?
You know what? I can find that out. Give me 1 second here.
Yep. So if you haven't heard already, we're going to have a beekeeper dinner at the Nobby. So we would love to have everybody to come out and be with us. The tickets are technically free. We're just trying to keep a number of how many people that will be coming. So if you'd like to come and join along, think we could drop that link to scan that ticket. I'll try to do that here in just a little bit. But we'd love to have everybody to come out and be with us. So
Melissa said 54 have signed up for that dinner, and the contract we have technically says 175. Okay. Not that we can't push that, probably a little bit, but we can't actually have more than 199 because they're requiring us per the contract to hire security.
Right.
I never heard of that. First time I've encountered that. With the venue space asking you to hire security for that. I said, hey, we're beekeepers. We're good folk.
Crazy beekeepers.
Crazy beekeepers. Oh.
So, about the only trouble we cause is shenanigans. We don't really cause any real trouble,
Yeah.
So anyway, Melissa has a nice little flyer that she put up on the on Facebook. I don't know what area she shared it to. Melissa, do you remember what that was?
I put it on the No Life Beekeepers.
She put it on the No Life Beekeepers page. She came up with a nice logo and everything. I was actually pretty impressed with the logo that Melissa came up with. And when I seen it, I'm like, that's a great logo right there. And I'm like, what if we did a little rebranding, so to speak, with the Via Honeybees logo and use that? And she's like, nope, I like our logo. And I'm like, okay, fine. Anyway, so you all got what I thought was a awesome logo. Again, I thought it was, I don't know, she did a really good job on it. She been working pretty hard on getting a lot of that stuff done and stuff for the Missouri State Conference. She has been working on Eastern Missouri Conference, which our tickets actually just went live today. And then she's also been working on the No Life thing too. So
there we go. So tell me a little bit about the Georgia conference that you guys went to.
Yeah, so that was the first time we've been to the Georgia conference. I've heard a lot about it. I've heard a lot about their honey show. They're pretty competitive from what I understood. And all the different categories they have and all the competition that goes along with it, as well as the organization that they have in place. And I'll tell you, it's all true. The only thing I would say I was disappointed by, and this is being pretty critical, is they're at their honey show. They had a lot of categories. They had a lot of entries. Melissa happened to be the steward for the honey show, or one of the stewards. It's a pretty large one, and they actually didn't have a lot of liquid honey displayed. They had a lot of different products. They had a lot of photography. Melissa could probably chime in on that. She was back there for 2.5 days, basically, while I got to run around free, unbridled, and unchecked, basically. Didn't cause too much trouble, but anyway, they are very well organized. They have a lot of cool different things that they offer along with it. I mean, it's just one of those things. They're always doing something a little bit new, a little bit different and such. So they capped it out at 350, but it was very comfortable. The venue space was great. The vendor hall was a little tight and small. But I'm going to say all in all, I mean, I'm going to give them 5 out of 5 stars when it comes to the Georgia conference. The honey show was great. The speaker presentation was great. They had breakout classes. They had, in my opinion, good vendors there.
It was well organized.
It was very well organized. There wasn't any chaos. There wasn't any confusion about things. It was very, very well laid out. And that's difficult to pull off. We understand that, it's all the little bitty fine details that you sometimes don't think about, but are very, very important to make everyone's experience that much better, So I actually got to help out. This was pretty fun for me, actually. Michael Mahar at 21st B. I got to help in his, hopefully, I mean, he's on here. He can say if I was or wasn't, but hopefully I was a help and not a hindrance. And hopefully I didn't overstep any of my bounds there with him, but it seemed like it was working out pretty good. But, I was kind of hanging out with him. We helped him load in his products and set up. And then the next morning helped a little bit with, oh gosh, not Arda, but Korhan from Apame. He was right next to us. So we all kind of palled around most of the weekend, went out to dinner together and just hung out and had some good conversation and what have you. So I don't know. It was great. People would ask me a question about it thinking I was one of the salesmen there, and I just start answering.
If you want to butter up Korhan, bring him food.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's a foodie like us too. But I don't know. The conference for Georgia was good. If people, you know what? Honestly, even at Nabi, I mean, I'd be, if I didn't have something going on at the moment, I'd be happy to step in for short times if it was a help to you. Be happy to just answer any questions. And I'm just honest with people about my experience, what I've done, what he puts into them. I mean, he's taught me a lot about his procedures as far as manufacturing and the all the effort and energy they put into all the details of it, which sometimes you don't think about that. When you look at a frame, you're like, yeah, okay, whatever, no big deal. But when you kind of get to have those more small conversations off to the side, you can really understand where a person's coming from and the thought process that they put into it. And I'll tell you, even if something as simple as a frame or like the little bucket alarm or just whatever products that people are producing, there's got to be a lot of thought that goes into this stuff. I'm not a manufacturer myself, but I'll tell you what, I really enjoyed hanging out with those guys this weekend. And I don't know, like I said, I got to hang out in the booth with the guys and do a little bit of sales for those guys and kind of help out where they needed and stuff. So it was just a good time. But I would just highly recommend anybody considering the Georgia conference. If you're looking for a great conference, that was my first experience and it was really good. So that was kind of it basically in a nutshell.
Did you see this message up here from Mark?
I did not.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Right there. The blue one.
Yeah. Yeah, I have some left. I would probably order more actually. So where's that paperwork for that we had for that conference? I want to look at that.
Which conference? The
The
Georgia
one we
one?
just went to. So there was a presentation that I went to. Well, actually, I didn't go to all of them, but there were certain ones that I was interested in going to. And I actually did a lot of networking with speakers. I got some speakers lined up for us, as well as talk to some vendors. But let's see, the gentleman's name.
It was York.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where he's at on here. I don't want to.
He's right there. Second one.
Dr. Jörg Mayer. He's originally from Germany. University of Budapest in Hungary. studied in a lot of different places, but he's actually a veterinary guy and a professor. Anyway, he actually talked a lot about nutrition and bees. And I was kind of waiting for it to happen after they did a Q&A after his presentation was over. And it was very, very scientific. So if you were a new beginner or beekeeper, honestly, this would have just soared right over your head. And even some of the stuff that he was mentioning, because he was going through it very quickly. Some of it lost me a little bit, but he talked a lot about nutrition. And then, of course, somebody asks, as they probably typically would, so what supplement do you use? And he's like, okay, he goes, so we're going to go there basically, which was kind of funny. He talked about the strong microbials and said, okay, well, is it worth the money basically? So this was his opinion. And he said primarily that's mostly what he's used. And he said that as a man who's a scientist, a zoologist, and a professor, he said that he notices a difference in his bees. And I don't know what studies, he didn't highlight any specific ones that he had done, but so, Mark was asking about that DFM, which is a product that I've used. I don't use it all the time, but late summer, when the mite loads potentially get higher and the disease gets a little bit more prevalent in the colonies, I've been using that. And last year was the first year. So potentially I could talk to a couple of the guys and see if I can get a hold of a big box or something, but I would probably use a big box myself. But I'm sure we'll figure something out for you, Mark.
So Rick's got a question there, and you guys probably do more buckets than the rest of us. How important is it to remove the foam and debris from the top of the bucket when you don't screen it good? What do you guys say about that?
I don't know.
I'd say very important. If you're going
Yeah.
to
Especially
Most
if you're
folks don't want to
selling
see
it.
that in a jar.
Yep.
If it's not very heavy, a very very easy way to remove it. It's just if it's a very, very thin layer on the top of the bucket, after you let it settle for a few days, I'm telling you, the easiest way to clarify honey is to let it settle. So time is your best friend. Otherwise, you'll just fight these screens and everything. And sometimes even those 400 micron screens won't actually filter out that foam, which I think it's probably just maybe excess wax and a little bit of potential bubbles in there from all the disturbance of the honey itself. But if you let it settle for a good few days or even longer than that, it'll bring all that to the surface. And if it's not so heavy, typically you can just actually take some saran wrap and lay it right on the top and create that tension across there. And then as you go to pull it off, give it a good twist and pull it off quickly. You won't get 100%, but I would say you probably get 75, 80%. And that tends to help pretty easily. So, that's what we've noticed.
Yeah.
What about you?
That's what I do. I use saran wrap after it settles for a day or two. Works great.
Yeah, it does. It's pretty cheap. And you could actually, if you wanted to, take the saran wrap, open it up, set it outside, and let your bees come back and take it all away.
Oh, it's amazing how much, even when you don't try to open it up, you just leave the little wads of saran wrap out, the bees will clean it somehow. I don't know how they get up in all the nooks and crannies and crevices, but they will clean up the saran wrap.
They're pretty crafty.
If the squirrels don't carry it off first. So.
Yeah.
What about you, JW? Have you had any experience with that?
with the squirrels.
You kind of wrote, no, JW, buckets of honey. Come on.
I do it basically the same thing as what these guys are talking about. I just take some saran wrap and hopefully you don't get too much to get a good screening job. But once in a while you get you'll get some. That's just like DC says. That's peroxide that some of that foam is. Comes out of the honey. So
And
nothing bad
you guys,
about it except it don't look nice and looks too nice in your honey jar if you private treaty sell, to individuals. These
so what do
commercial
you do about
boys,
the heavy stuff in the bottom of your buckets? Don't you get some heavies that'll fall to the bottom of your buckets also?
I
Never had that
very
problem?
seldom ever get anything like in the bottom of my buckets.
We usually get a little bit of, I don't know. I don't say it's pollen, but it's heavy and it's got a low grit to it. So I don't know where that comes from.
Sure, it's not sugar crystals.
Well, yeah, like crystallized honey in the bottom. That
It could, but usually when we're filtering that honey out, we filter it and put it in a bucket and then bottle it up. And the filling bucket that we were using would end up with like just some hard stuff in the bottom of the bucket.
Here's
So
a
I don't even
question.
know how to.
Here's a
It's
question
almost
I thought about.
it's almost like sand almost. So
yeah, I bet it's
I bet
sugar crystals.
I bet so too. It not if that nectar has a high glucose D or a dextrose content to it, it will
Right.
crystallize quickly. So if let's say potentially whatever nectar that may have come back in, it could have crystallized a little bit. I would say predominantly maybe most of the honey that you've got that your extract is probably fine, but that doesn't mean that you can't have potentially some sugar crystals that already crystallized in the comb that got slung out. Yeah.
yeah, I don't disagree with you. And that definitely could be it because a lot of times that's an early spring honey, like early spring, and probably have a little bit of leftover honey from last year, and maybe that's what's going on.
So
Yeah.
this is that chunk honey that was fully crystallized. I don't know, a couple weeks ago. I showed everybody. Can't remember if it was on this channel or Joey's channel, but it all uncrystallized. But you see all this white stuff right there? That's all still crystallized sugar that didn't. And the reason it's on top is because it was on bottom, and I flipped it over to kind of mix it. But you can see there's like sugar crystals all around there that didn't decrystallize, uncrystallize, whatever you want to say. So that might be what it is, Ricky.
Okay, it's good to know.
Just sugar, because that was all down at the bottom. I mean, you can see it floating back down.
So I would have
Yeah.
a question. Maybe you guys can answer this, and I never really thought much about it. If you had pieces of pollen that got extracted into the honey, will pollen actually float to the top? Will it suspend or sink to the bottom?
No, suspend.
It'll suspend.
That's what I would say too.
I've never really thought about that, honestly.
Well, Mike says the same thing about those little tiny crystals. Look at that.
So the last couple of buckets that we've uncrystallized in the warming cabinet thing has had about an inch thick, wouldn't you say, of crystallized sugar on the top. Well, crystallized honey, whatever you want to call it, on the top that we've had to like scrape off, put it in another bucket, and put it back in the warmer.
Yeah. Sometimes what I'll do is sometimes I'll just give it back to the just give it back to the bees because the bees will clean it up too.
I have very very little crystallization. I have trouble getting my honey to crystallize. It's like for making. In fact, that's where I've been. I just finished up another batch of creamed honey. I just jarred. That's where I've been jarring honey for the last 2 hours. So that's the reason I'm a little late. But I'm going to suggest that that's just that that stuff that's accumulating on top is just trying to crystallize.
Mm-hmm.
All you got to do, but you can take, if you got a heated bottling tank, you can take straight crystallized honey and put it in a tank. I did it.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I might just empty this into the bottling tank and put new honey. New honey in here.
You run it up about 95 or 100, it'll all go back to straight honey. You can take straight crystallized honey and
Yeah.
do that with it.
Looks like Rick got stung on the nose. I tell you what, that's a bad sting. Anything around that nose or face, oh, it hurts so bad.
Yeah, they don't like you breathing on them. that hurts my bad breath. I'm not sure which one.
I'd suggest it might be the other.
I'd like to hear from the young man that's in the chat here right now. I'd like to hear what he's
Well,
got.
thank you. What do you want me to say?
Oh, man.
You're talking to Jace? Oh,
I'm talking about Jace.
okay.
How about if we-
Jace? I thought he was talking to me.
How about if we hear from
How's it
you
going?
next? We'll hear
Well,
from Jace.
Well, what I want to hear is they released. They picked all the Nabi people. Did Jace
Oh.
get picked?
Oh, yeah.
So-
we want to hear that.
about that. So I sent in my video, and something was wrong with it, I guess, because it wouldn't go through. So I had to resend it, and basically we got a pretty long email saying that I technically am not part of the Next Gen program. So basically they declined that, but they also said they were still going to give me 2 free tickets. So
Oh, that's
Oh.
good.
Oh,
so am I part of the Next Gen program? Technically, no. But they are kind enough to still. They're gonna send 2 free tickets.
Well, that's cool.
Well, hey,
That's okay. You can apply again next year.
yeah,
And that's what she said. She said the reason that it was just a no for this year is because I just needed a little more experience. But yeah.
Well, hey, we told
And they
Chris
had-
Madeira if you didn't make it, we were going to send him some hate mail. We were going to send him some real nasty emails, Jace.
Well,
You
they're
know.
lucky they sent him 2 tickets.
They're lucky. That might have saved it. Might have saved the skin of his teeth there with Chris Medeiros. I know he said he wasn't in charge of it, but I'd still give him trouble.
I think Jason.
Well, Jace, did you see that flyer
I
that
think
I made
King's Member
about the
Company
dinner?
is in charge of that kid program. Honestly. I
What
think
did you
it's
say?
who does most of the screening for that.
Here, give me 1 second.
If you guys are going to come, Jace, take a picture of that screen there so you can get tickets to the dinner. 'Cause we need to set up an autograph table for you.
That's right, buddy.
yeah.
Sorry.
So, Jace,
You know,
I'm
I
taking
did-
that means that you'll probably likely be able to attend, or you'll be able to come. Then is that what I'm understanding?
Okay, I got it. So right now it kind of depends on my mom's health. But
Understood.
if everything is fine and we're up to that point, then possibly. But right now it's 50-50. So we'll
Yeah.
see the closer we get towards Nabi.
Well, we'll be praying for your mother that
Absolutely.
she has a good outcome, a good experience. That way you and your family can get to partake in this event. I think that you guys will get a lot out of it. And maybe we can sweet talk a couple vendors to kicking back some love to you.
Well, it's very appreciated.
There's a lot of good vendors that operate there out of the or at Nabi, not out of, but at Nabi. So I'm sure all those guys are usually pretty eager to help out young beekeepers who are trying to make their way there. So yeah, like Michael there, 21st Bee
Yeah.
said he can
Absolutely.
set you up with your own next gen type of perks, and who knows, maybe be better than the other stuff.
That's right. We'll make sure you're taken care of. Don't worry about that.
Definitely.
Yeah, well, based on those few emails you sent out with and the response you got, yeah, you did. You're doing pretty good. Data and Hilco and 21st B.
Mhm.
So you've already got a leg up on the other next gen folks.
No doubt.
I think
Yeah.
so. I think it's awesome.
Yeah. So tell us how your bees are doing, Jace. What's going on in the bee yard? How they starting to do good or still doing good?
They are doing good. I checked them Sunday. I'm checking them every 2 weeks as of right now, and
Okay.
they're doing really good. They have one frame that is pretty much completely capped over for honey, and then they have another one of 21st Bees frames that they have drawn out some comb on, and they've already
Yep.
started storing nectar in there. So as of right now, good, and a lot of brood. But I'm also seeing a lot of drone numbers going down too. So
Well, that's good. The drone numbers are coming down. That's what we kind of want to see. Is the pollen still pouring into the colony right now? The goldenrod and everything blooming down there?
whenever, let's see, it's probably been last week and the week before, pollen was just not coming in as much as I feel like it should be, because I mean you would see a whole bunch of bees coming in, but maybe one every 20 bees would have a little bit of pollen on its legs. And so I was like, well, what in the world? But this week I've seen just about every bee that comes in have pollen, full pollen on his legs. So something must have bloomed. It must have been goldenrod, which I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure I've seen some. But yeah, I've had a lot of pollen this last week.
Pollen's a good thing. I think that's really hard for man to duplicate. You know, that's a difficult. I would probably cautiously use the word almost impossible to duplicate what that pollen that we get from the plants and the flowers and things. You know, I mean, they might be able to do a decent substitute, but I think that my opinion is you can only typically rear maybe one, and you're probably pushing it at 2 rounds of brood without any real pollen using the substitute. I think it just kind of falls short a little bit, it seems like. But for whatever reason, in my experience, I feel like that you can do, for the sugar source, you can do okay with table sugar if there's no if there isn't any nectar to be had. I'll say that.
Well, lately we have a fig tree, and I've been seeing the bees all over the figs. So I don't know if that's where they're getting some nectar from. I mean, obviously it is, because I mean, there's bees all over it. But I guess they
bees
just
love fig trees.
they're starting to having to forage for the last little bits that are still here. So
Mm-hmm. That's
They
good.
get moisture out of those figs too. And I lived in Florida for a good while, and they just, if you had fig bushes or trees, whatever you want to call them, they just full of bees and other insects also. Anything that has a sweet tooth for honey. That's what I told some folks yesterday. I said, I think anything with a sweet tooth for honey is just swarming the goldenrod in my area right now. I don't know if we're getting anything out of it. They're sure trying.
Mm-hmm.
So
JW, when you said they're getting nectar, are they just eating the fig itself? Because the figs don't bloom. Am I correct about that?
yeah, they'll eat the actual figs. I mean, they
Okay.
don't have anything to do with the bloom. And especially, some of your paper wasp, your red wasp, and your bald-faced hornets and stuff, bumblebees, any of that stuff loves figs. There's a beetle that looks like a potato beetle, but it isn't. I don't know just what type of beetle it is. The little beetles that's on everything up here right now, and you'll see them on those figs in the south also. They look like a potato bug, but they're not. I don't know what they are. I've never looked them up.
So how are your bees doing, JW? I mean, you said you got a lot of pollen coming in. The bees still looking pretty strong.
Yeah. My hives are exceptionally strong, I think, right now. I'm trying to stay out of them. I just finished up my Apivar. Actually, I've still got some cards on from my last treatment, but that's pretty well cleaned out. I'm fixing next week. I'm going to start feeding. I'm probably going to use all buckets. I've got a few top feeders, but I'll probably use mostly buckets. But I try to feed as needed. In my case, I don't go through and just lump sum the whole. I feed them if they need fed. If they don't need fed, I don't feed them. And sometimes you make a mistake on your judgment. I've been known to do that on occasion. Not very often, but on occasion. About 50% of the time. So that's pretty good for me.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest questions I see on a lot of the Facebook pages. When do I need to feed? And that's, I try not to be a smarty, but only they know when they need to feed. You need to look in there and see if they need feeding.
Yeah.
I don't know when you need to feed. If you got some hives that are heavy as a box of rocks, you probably don't need to feed right now. You're going to plug out the brood area, and the queen needs room right now, to be laying some fat winter bees for you. So you don't want to do that. So yeah, folks, there ain't no one size fits all on feeding. You know, especially when you get on YouTube or Facebook and you got folks from Canada to the tip of Florida. You know, you're asking, when do I need to feed? So folks need to be careful with their questions and answers on some of these sites.
Yeah, that's
Folks
right.
have good intentions, but they give bad information based on location.
Absolutely true.
So, Keith, you did mention I think a pretty important thing. So, the bees are probably pretty much doing their winter bees right now, getting ready for winter. So, it is critical that they, get the brood is coming off. That they've got plenty of resources, because that's what they're going to end up going through winter with. And she makes around here, they make very few bees during winter. You might have a little bitty teeny cluster, but it won't be very much during winter.
Yeah, and I'm like JW. I like to stay out of my bees pretty much this time of year. But I inspected, I don't know, when I got through treating middle of August, and some of the hives didn't have much brood at all then, because we were basically in a dearth at that point. But things have picked up since then. I did a quick inspection before we went out of town, and I had a lot more brood in pretty much every hive than I did mid-August. So yeah, very important, that the queen's got room right now, and everything is, now's when you need everything hitting on all the cylinders, going into winter. Food, brood, room, everything. You don't have the clock's ticking. You're running out of time. If you screw something up, you don't have any time to fix it. And you're running out of resources. That's why it gets less and less important to inspect, when you get later in the year, because, if you lost a queen, you can't get one. If certain things happen, there's not much you can do about it. So yeah, important time of the year.
And don't be afraid to combine them. People get numbers conscious. They get talking, to other beekeepers. Well, how many hives you got? How many hives you got? Don't worry about how many hives you got. Worry about how many good strong hives you have. And if you've got a couple weak ones, one good strong one beats 5 weak ones.
Oh yeah.
Combine them up, get them fed up.
Yeah, and I've had, for whatever reason, since the honey flow, I've probably lost, I don't know, 3 or 4 queens, out of some hives that were really strong and made a lot of honey. But that's what those resource nukes are for. I've got fewer nukes now going into winter, but that's fine. I'll take the hive that is that's lost their queen, pull out all the empty frames, and then just drop a whole nuke in there, and I don't have to worry about queen acceptance or anything. I can just load them up with a strong nuke. They just keep getting it. So I'm only down to, I had 6 or 8 nukes at one time. I think I've only got 3 or 4 now going into winter, something like that. Yeah. But that's what they're there for. So
me and you, Keith, was talking about Jason's colony. If it doesn't fill out, completely all the way across, Jace, I suggest you might put a divider board in there so they're not having to keep that whole box warm. And you're probably going to need to put either some camp method or put your shim on there and put you some fondant on there, because 5-frame nukes don't really, without some help, they really don't overwinter as well. They need a little bit more help. So I suggest you might look into putting maybe a little shim. I think you said was it your brother that does a little bit of carpentry work? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You can just do your little 1-inch shim, and maybe on, part of that where it's going to be over top of your bees, you need to put sugar or put some kind of fondant in there so they can have a little extra eat winter. I know your winters are not as hard as our winters are, but that might be something you want to look into. So
yeah.
What do you think about that, Tom? Do you go ahead, Jason?
I was also wondering, when I need to like do my last inspection. Like, when do I need to stop inspecting?
Let Keith speak about that because that's a little bit farther south than me.
Yeah, my last inspection is pretty much when I set them up for winter. When I put that shim on and put the fondant on, and get them buttoned up for winter. That's pretty much my last inspection until probably January, February. As far as when that is, that can vary a little bit. It could be anywhere from towards the end of October, and some people push it on over to Thanksgiving. There's really not a right answer there. A lot of the stuff that we have blooming around here, it'll continue blooming until it frosts. So they'll keep pulling in little bits until that point. Obviously, once you get the frost and it kills everything, party's over. So you definitely need to do it then. But you've still got time. You don't have to worry about that right now. We're not on the edge of needing to do anything at the moment. Like I said, the earliest I would do it is towards the end of October. So we've got over a month there. Probably the latest I would do it is Thanksgiving. So that gives you 2 months. So yeah, we got some wiggle room. We'll make sure you get that hive set up right based on what they get drawn out. I noticed in your video, which if y'all hadn't seen Jace's latest video, you need to check it out. He's doing great. He's got the editing down and everything. He's adding text and slowing it down and got music going on. So check out Jace's. Now what is that website? What's your channel again, Jace? So everybody knows.
It's just Jay's Beekeeping.
Okay. So yeah, y'all check that out. But we'll check on it. I noticed they had started drawing out a little bit, and it wasn't as the wonky comb so bad as it was before, or it didn't appear to be. Is it looking a little bit better?
That was a different frame, but the frame, that one frame, I don't know why, but they just keep building these like little. I don't know what type of burr comb it's called, but it's where it's just like these little streaks like that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why they just keep building on that one frame. I don't know if it's because that spacing's wrong for that one, but I've been switching out different frames and well, not different frames, but I've been, switching sides, see if they would change it a little bit. And I mean, they already rebuilt it, and I was kind of contemplating leaving it there since we're getting closer to winter, just so that way they have places to lay, and then just scraping it off in the spring. But I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's about too late to change their mind now. I don't know that there's a bad answer. Now you still got the syrup on them. You're still feeding them, right?
I'm still feeding them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, just keep doing that, and like I said, a month from now, whatever, we'll know what's going on if they have drawn out any. If not, we'll talk you through what we're talking about as far as that follower board. You're basically going to turn that 10-frame box into a 5-frame box.
Yeah.
And then you're going to that makes it a lot easier for the bees to manage, if they don't have drawn comb. And then we can still put a shim and put some fondant or something on top of just the 5 frames where the bees are. So we'll get.
I've seen people, they'll put, I don't know if this is just certain people or whatever, but they'll put insulation in there too, like these little thick pieces. I don't know if I should do that or not either, but
yeah, we don't really need to do that down in our area. A lot of people call those I guess he's talking about a quilt box. We're actually putting some material in that upper box. Is that what you're talking about? Mm-hmm. A lot of folks will insulate. I've got that thin Reflectex insulation on the underside of my top cover that I run year round on all my hives, and then I run a piece of it on my inner cover, before I put my fondant on there. But yeah, that's another one. That's one of those questions you ask 10 beekeepers, you get 15 different answers on how they set their hives up for winter.
Yeah,
you get all the way from the vented hives to the condensing hives to the quilt boards to the Lord, it just goes on, and whatever they do is just the best thing ever. You need to do.
Yeah,
that's the truth.
It's to me, it's one of those deals. I found something that works for me, and I'm going to keep doing it until until it don't work for me. So
Yeah.
Also, at what point do I need to stop feeding sugar water and just do like fondant and patties and stuff?
as long as they're taking the syrup and you're really not close to plugging out based on your video. It looked like she was you had quite a bit of brood, quite a bit of room. Just keep feeding and just let them keep taking it. You know, they don't have a lot of storage there since you've just got the 5 frames. So you know, it might just be to the point where we just feed to the point that we pull the feed and put the fondant on. So just do it all at once. You know, you can still feed liquid feed. You know, we're a long ways from the temperatures where you can't do that. So that's not a worry right now.
There's some commercial guys that are in Missouri even. So you all are much further south than us and have even a warmer climate, more so than we would have in the wintertime or any time of the year, really. That claim that you can still put syrup on top of the colonies. Now, I would be cautious about that. You know, they're not going to take syrup down whenever it's 10 degrees outside,
Right.
unless that syrup is warm. But, you know, if you get a warm day or some warm days, potentially they would. I know there's a lot of things that could go wrong by doing that, particularly if you're feeding the bucket or things like that. They could leak on them, things like that could be detrimental, especially a small colony, things like that. But there's guys around here that claim that they don't know why people feed sugar because it's not the correct way. And these are some of these guys who are actually been doing this for a long time. But like Keith said, everybody has their opinion. And if it's worked for them, they think that's just the golden ticket. So be it. I think there's multiple ways to skin the cat, you know. But I would also say that Keith's probably your best adversary there as far as knowledge, because you guys are so close to each other. You guys, you know, have a very probably similar climate and similar temperature swings and things like that. So, I mean, he would probably be your best bet as far as taking advice from, not somebody that's up in Canada or somebody that's down in Florida, things like that, you know?
Yeah, because you're going to see folks that are wrapping hives in tar paper and putting insulation on the outside of the hives and surrounding them with hay bales. And I mean, it just goes on and on, you know, what folks do to their hives. And that's great if it works for them. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of that, but where we're at, we really don't have to do all of that. So,
you know, I always feel like there's certain things that are really crucial to do inside of a colony or to look for inside of a colony. And then I feel like, and this, I'm telling you my opinion of it. So much like everybody else has their own, I feel like everything else is somewhat just kind of white noise, you know? Yeah. I'm not saying that these things don't work or that maybe they don't help, but it's like on the big scheme of things, there's certain things that help exponentially. And there's some things that help just muy poco, you know, just very, very little. I mean, they just, you know, throwing a pebble in a pond, you know, there's not going to be a wave you could ride by throwing a pebble in a pond kind of deal, you know? So it just, I don't know. I think there's small potatoes there that really just don't make a lot of difference. And like Keith's saying here, you know what, could you wrap a hive? Sure. Would it make much difference? Probably not where we live at. So you really just spend a lot of time, effort, and energy and maybe cost to do something that really is not going to make a difference, you know? So, and I think that's kind of where that whole, you know, you're going to have some failures along the way kind of deal go. And then you can try to reassess what you feel like might have happened or gone wrong, or try to take the advice of somebody like Keith that's really knowledgeable, and then maybe see where you can go a little bit different. But I would also say and argue that we're trying to manage an insect, or I guess you could call it livestock now, that in my opinion, and I don't have all this farming experience to speak back on, but it's probably difficult to manage because these bees don't know fences. They don't understand, you know, certain, like cattle in a field, you can really dial in to, they can only eat this, they can only do this. But bees, they have so much, they can go wherever they want. So they can get into things that you just don't know about, you know, so it's harder to control those mechanisms, I guess. But I don't know, that's just kind of the way I see it. I work toward having very good, younger, strong, healthy queens with good patterns. And just because she's a 2025 queen doesn't mean she's a good queen. If she's bad, she gets scrapped and another one goes in place. Yep. I think that's important. And I feel like I've learned that in my success on overwintering. Decent numbers, I would say, are kind of not necessarily hinged on that, but that's one of the big criteria I look for. The second thing is trying to keep the nutrition supplement as needed. Keith just said, when do you feed? Well, that depends, but nutrition can, when you don't have good nutrition, even in our bodies, we don't perform well. Bees are no different than that. You can supplement nutrition in there a little bit to help assist them or to push them a little further along to the next good meal that they can get from out in Mother Nature. And I would also say making sure that you keep your mite loads in check so that you can keep these viral loads in check as well. Sick bees, just like when you and I are not feeling well, we're just not going to produce. Bees will do the same. So I think all these these details are what make up the big bulk of it. I think everything else, as far as wrapping your hive and doing this and that, probably helps in certain areas. And some people, it probably helps a little bit more, but other people, I think it just doesn't make much difference, So it just kind of depends, I guess.
Yep.
So what do you think about this Pro Suite question here, Tom? I don't really do Pro Suite, so it's probably more up here, or maybe Keith does it. I don't know. I don't mess with Pro Suite.
I actually can't answer that specifically. I don't know if it matters, but I don't really have any experience with Pro Suite specifically. So if I'm going to talk about it, it's just on an idea that I have. So I actually don't know.
Okay. And then Mike says, when you get that wonky comb like that, and this is pretty true on any kind of foundation, they kind of pull that wax off that location. So if you kind of more flatten it back down, they may pull it up better. But Jace, I'll try to send you some wax, and you can just take a torch and torch the wax, and then just rub it across your frames, and that'll do the trick. You won't get all that wonky comb with that your wax on there. So let me scroll down.
But yeah, Jace, we'll be talking before you need to do anything. We'll make sure you're set up good for whatever you need to do to go into winter. So you'll have a little bit milder winter down your way than I've got here, actually. Where I'm in the foothills or the eastern foothills. You're way down in the definitely in the Piedmont. You had a lot of black sandy soil down there. We're up here in red dirt country, so you're closer to the coast than we are here.
Yeah. But yeah, I was just a little bit worried of when to do stuff, when not to do stuff. And I've been watching videos and trying to learn, but everyone says, kind of like y'all said, it's just different wherever you're at. So I'm just trying to
be
make
careful
sure.
of them YouTube people. That's a bunch of crazy people.
Especially some of them. No, we don't mention that guy over there. We ain't got JW to pick on, so it has to be Tom now.
Where'd JW go?
I don't know.
I was just gonna message him and be like, "Where'd you go?" There he is.
Fell off.
I don't know. Maybe his wife got a hold of him. Oh,
There he
Get
is.
him, JW.
got him.
I lost my internet for a while.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
You got to pay that bill,
You had to climb the pole.
You got to sell a couple more bottles of honey.
I don't know what happened. My modem went out. I finally got it rebooted. I'm not sure it's not trying to go out again. I don't know what happened. I'm not too computer literate anyway.
Jace, have you had any luck finding any bee clubs down that way?
So there's not really a club. Well, there is a club. Don't get me wrong, but there's this, I guess association. I guess would be a better word for it.
Yeah.
But I haven't applied for it yet. But hopefully soon I'll be able to get some free time and do it.
Okay. Do they meet there in your county, the county seat or whatever?
They do. They meet in the county, I think.
Yeah, that's what we do here once a month. So yeah, that'd be good to get to know some of those folks. They're obviously a lot handier than me and Ricky, as far as dropping by looking at something. But yeah, that'll be a good thing.
I would say if you find a good club down there, and that word "good," that can be tricky. That puts out solid information. I'll say that can be tricky. I would, if I were you, since Keith's so close to you, I would probably bounce it off Keith. Sometimes in my experience, and I'm not speaking ill of anybody in the clubs, I always had this idea when I thought about clubs, right? So when people asked us to be a part of this, I'm like, I don't know. I never really had any mentors, and I just kind of carved my own path and made my own failures and successes and things like that. But my idea was this, and you have a club of anything. It's basically, I pictured a bunch of old guys, coffee stained teeth, leaning on a coffee pot at an old building, right? And these guys are arguing about the stupidest things with the most closed mind you can ever come up with. And I'm like, I'm not really interested. One of the first experiences we had with the club, they were really great people, very gracious, very kind. The downfall I felt like is they were very closed-minded. When I asked about a couple questions, I immediately got shot down, and I'm like, okay, and one of the things I mentioned was how to be profitable with bees. And the guy said, can't be done, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, well, aren't there commercial beekeepers? Well, yeah. And I'm like, forgive me, at that time, I only been in business for 20 years, but I'm like, I'm pretty sure that if there wasn't money to be made there, nobody would do it, or they definitely wouldn't stay in it. Right. Mm-hmm. Not saying they're going to be millionaires, but nonetheless, I immediately knew that it just probably wasn't the direction that I wanted to go. But anyway, the moral of that story was maybe you could take some information back. If you find somebody that gives you some information, just bounce it off Keith. He's down in your area, and I think he can get you set straight pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. Keith seems to have pretty unbiased opinions about things, and just kind of goes with the punches. So I think you probably can't go wrong there, Jason.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We'll do everything we can.
Who's this new face we got in here?
Yeah, I agree on the club thing. The local club here, when I first joined in that, they didn't know me from Adam, and they had their presentations and the way they'd always done it, and this is how you do it, and want, and then they made the mistake of electing me to be a program director. So went out the door, and it's like, what are we going to do today? So and I try to get the people in the attendees involved. What do y'all do? What has worked for you? What screwed up for y'all? And I think it's working out really good. Our numbers have increased. People are a lot more engaged. Lord knows people like to talk about their bees.
100%.
So instead of somebody just talking to them about bees. So yeah, I can see some clubs getting pretty I don't know what's a good word, constipated.
Yeah, that's for sure. That was the one thing that I always wanted to try to, as the program, director for ours, Keith, I'm going to tell you, of all the positions that are on a board for that, that's the one that I'm like, that's my spot. That's where I feel like that I enjoy, I feel like I shine and do my best. But I also, just like you said, and I think this is key, making sure you're listening to the people there, so like there's plenty of speakers that I would like to bring in that talk about Sideliner series, minor commercial stuff and whatever. But I'm like, 98% of my club is made up of backyard beekeepers. I'm like, I would be doing everybody an injustice if I brought those people in there.
Oh yeah.
Maybe a speaker can maybe hit on those little areas, but he definitely doesn't need to focus on that. So I need to bring somebody in that represents our club and the ideas of the people that are in it, to the best of our abilities.
Oh yeah. And then the majority of the folks in our club have probably 4 hives or less. Yeah. A lot of them just got 1 or 2. So, yeah, it's not like you say, if you brought in some of the really great commercial guys, I'm just not sure that he would tell them a lot of stuff they could relate to.
Yeah. So, and that's it.
They have a lot smaller questions than that, but yeah, I like hearing what people are doing, what they're trying, the mite treatments they're using. Did it work? Did it not work? Are you feeding? What kind of feed are you using? No matter what the topic, even in a small group, we have 30 or 40 people in our little meeting, which is pretty good for our county, as small as it is. So, but it's still amazing that the diversity across that little small group. So it's fun.
What about you, Philip? You do any bee clubs?
No, I don't. Y'all sitting here listening to you guys, and I've never been to a bee club meeting in my life. I probably should, but I haven't, so I can't speak to that very well.
Hey, who's that guy that just walked in the background? Is that your mentor?
No, that's Jared. That's my middle son. He was.
Well,
yeah.
Where's the one that mentors you at?
Yeah, where's the guy that does all
He is. Where is Noah? Anybody know where Noah is? Nobody knows. He's AWOL.
He's MIA, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, Philip, are your kids coming with you, Nobby, this year?
Noah said he would come. I
Cool.
don't know. I haven't asked if Sophie wants to come or not. He had a better time than she did, I think.
Okay.
She liked it okay, but
She doesn't like a
He
bunch
kinda
of us
got
old gray-haired guys, He wants to be in with the young crowd, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. She's too cool for us, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, what was funny was when I came in before, my camera wasn't working. So I downloaded a new driver and troubleshot and spent like 15 minutes, and then I got my phone out and used the flashlight and looked up where the camera was, and I didn't realize it, but there's this little slide bar at the top that covers your camera up.
It's a little privacy screen.
Yeah, there it is. You can turn it on and off.
How about that?
It's off, on. So I'm learning stuff, man.
Life's full of all kinds of surprises, Philip.
Exactly. Technology.
So, Philip, you
stuff.
said, was we going to have a special seat for you? I figured we'd have one of your honey stands, and you get to sit on it. So,
Oh, okay. We can do that. We can do that. Yeah, last year I had to sit in Keith's lap.
Oh boy.
that was rough,
It
I'm
was so
sure.
crowded.
Yeah, that might have got Sophie off on the wrong foot that first night with 300 old guys in that little small room. She might not have appreciated the humor in that.
It was kind of like this. That it's kind of like when you get on a crowded airplane and you see somebody walking down the aisle and you're like, don't sit sit here, don't sit.
Not me.
The rooster walked in the door and Keith just cleaned off a spot on his knee. He said, "Philip, sit right here." Pick up this space.
This year should be that part should be much better.
Yeah, it should be. It'll be a good time, I think. I'm looking
Oh,
forward to it. I got a +1, but I hadn't bought Noah's ticket to the event yet. But I'll do that. They've only gone up $10 more. So,
Well,
Chase, did you hear back on your?
I
ticket?
did. They said pretty much that I didn't get accepted into the next gen program, but they are still gonna send me 2 tickets. So that was pretty.
Really? That is cool. That's great.
Yeah, I think Chris knew he was going to have a revolt if he didn't do something.
Yep.
So yeah, that worked out okay.
Yeah, I'm really glad to hear that. And I'm glad somebody brought it. I kind of forgot about that a little bit and just didn't think about it truthfully. But I'm glad to hear that they took care of you, though.
Yeah.
So, yep, Paul. I'm representing, I guess. I'm so behind on college football. My alma mater played LSU, and I didn't even know it. My brother he's a big LSU fan. He told me about it. He said they did pretty good, but I didn't even realize it.
Hey, Ricky, speaking of Nobby, did you see that Miller has started with their Nobby discounts?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, they put the email out yesterday or today. I don't remember.
Okay.
But, so we're good to roll with that.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to get some stuff ordered and just go down there and get it and bring it home. That way we don't have to get it in St. Louis. That's for sure.
They don't have to haul it. We don't have to haul it.
Yep.
Hey, what does that
Same
mean? Sound like you're throwing hate my way there, buddy.
Well, they
No,
might
it's a
even
good
give
thing.
us a shipping discount there, Tom.
Yep. Well, I think you can probably get some good deals on some 21st B frames there.
Oh, really? They got some there? I figured I was going to pick up a few of those at Nobby.
Yeah.
So it looks
Yeah,
like
I'm-
Nancy's going to have the Honey Judges on her channel Tuesday night at 7 o'clock if anybody wants to join in and see that. So go ahead, Phil.
What did you say Tuesday night? Oh, Nancy.
Tuesday
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is she having?
The Honey Judges on.
Oh, the Honey Judges. That'll be cool. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
for
for
Nobby.
right there. That'd be neat. All right. Well, I went out and put some supers on my hives here at my home here in Capel, and I've got 8 or 9, depending on what you're counting, but I'd say 8 production colonies, and 5 of those had 2 supers slam full white wax. Yeah, I probably have 10 to 14 full supers of honey right now on those colonies.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
And I think we still got until about middle of October before it stops, but we'll see. But yeah, it's been a tough year up till now, and now it looks like we're going to finish strong. So, but,
Good deal.
So David Hoskin asked a question. We do have our date set for the St. Louis Convention Expo, whatever you want to call it. It's February 20th and February 21st of February. The tickets actually went live today. So we're having our quote unquote early bird. We had to raise our prices a little bit. And I'll tell you what, it definitely didn't cover what our expense increase was. Our expense went up significantly. Like, man, we got hit with the venue space today with a 30% hike. I mean, I think that that was the reason that delayed a little bit of what we had going on, honestly, because we were fighting to do our best to get this thing down. And we're going to have to get creative in a couple of areas as far as things like that. Our club has done a lot of fundraising in the past, so we have a little bit of money built up, so we can spend a little bit more. But I've locked down a bunch of speakers and things like that too. So I guess I can probably tell, since they're live, we have, and some of that stuff will be coming out in the near future. But I have Lewis Bartlett will be there. I have Kent Williams, Brian Zavada.
Oh, Brian.
Oh gosh, I'm having a mind blank here. I have 2 more speakers already signed up, and there's a couple that I'm waiting on right now, actually. Frank Rankovic from the USDA lab will be there, and there's one more I'm missing. Anyway, maybe Melissa can yell at me and tell me who that is going to be. So anyway, so David, feel free to log on and get it. So David, I'll tell you, so there's no confusion. We're actually doing like a day and a little better than a day and a half conference, basically. So on Friday itself, starting in the morning, vendors will be arriving there and setting up their booths. Every single one may not be there then, but I'm going to try to push them all to be there on Friday to set up their booths. And also we're going to have the Honey Drudge Training Council class is going to be there all day. So
did you say Honey Judge or Honey Drudge?
Honey Judge. The Honey Judge.
Honey Drudge.
Yeah. Must have been too much tea tonight,
I guess so.
This is the only one I had that was clean, a pink mug. Anyway, the Honey Judge Training Council class. So if anybody is interested in that, we're going to be doing that again this year, which there's a separate cost that goes straight to them. And let's see, we'll have, starting I think in the morning about 11 or something like that, we're going to do an intermediate classes that'll go through the afternoon. So you'll actually get lunch that day too. It's going to be built into it. And I think that's an additional on top of the normal ticket price is additional $40 for that other day of learning. So you basically get lunch, which I'll tell you what, for what we're paying, that basically covers the lunch. So we're going to have myself giving a presentation, Jim Masucci. Oh, he's my other speaker. Jim Masucci, Brian Zavada, and then we're going to do a whole panel discussion, tips and tricks, and a few other things that we're doing. So there'll be like 4 classes that day, possibly a 5th if I can work it out. So we're trying to add as much value there as we can on Friday. And then that evening we'll have the, we call it a banquet dinner. So anybody's invited, that's a separate price for that as well. I think we're going to do $48 or $50 for that, which again is less than what we're actually paying ourselves. So we're taking a loss at that. It'll be a great time to network, talk to speakers, talk to vendors, get to know people, exchange stories. We're going to have a nice speaker going on that evening for just a short bit, just a fun, lighthearted talk. And then Saturday is kind of our meat and potatoes where we have a full beginner lineup and a full experience side. And that's going to be a fun one too. We'll do a bunch of different topics as well as a panel discussion. I don't have all that stuff released yet. We're still waiting to dial a few things back in on that. So again, it'll be like a day and 3/4. So the regular ticket price for that Saturday is $99. You can add for an additional, I think it's $40, the whole Friday session for that's more of an intermediate. And then there's going to be plenty of raffles, plenty of cool stuff to give away, great speakers, great conversation. Yeah, Michael was there last Friday night. Or not last Friday, but Friday night for our thing. And it just turned out pretty good. Food was pretty good. We had a good speaker, and it's just a great time to network. So I think we sold 120 tickets to that last year. So we're expecting a few more for that. But I'll tell you, the venue space that we're having it at, Ricky was there too. You can, the hotel is attached to it. I stayed there one evening for that. We got done late Friday night. So had I got up at, I think it was 3:30 or 4 o'clock the next morning and went downstairs and started doing some work that next morning to get things prepared. So Melissa and I stayed up there at the hotel, and it was pretty good accommodations and arrangements. It's a nice place. So everything is all kind of inclusive. There's also a nice restaurant attached to the facility too. So if you're looking for some good dinner on your own, they have that there too. So if anybody wants to come from out of town to come in and for that deal, feel free. Anybody's welcome.
All right.
It's definitely more oriented, you really get to have a good conversation with people. Me and JW sat there, had a great conversation. Dodd was there. Clay come over and sat and talked with us. And you just really get maybe a little more people friendly instead of just talking to one person, then next person, like you do at the Nobby. It's just more just togetherness almost. So I had a blast when I went. Yeah, I had a great time. Even got to sit with that JW fella there. He was pretty good.
He's a character, that's for sure.
Yep.
Hopefully we can get him there in person this year again.
He never did sign no autographs, I know of, but he did find his keys finally, so that was a plus.
Yeah. I was a little concerned for him because I could tell he was concerned about it. So I figured the worst case scenario, what he'd do is if he left that nice truck with me, I was going to go down to Ford and have a key cut, and I was going to drive it home.
Yeah. Some gracious person turned my keys in to whoever was in charge of the dinner that evening. So I looked out there. I'd already made arrangements to have my son bring an extra set of keys out from home. So
Did they say where they found them?
And I never knew who found them or where they found them at.
Yeah, I didn't hear that either.
I don't know. They found them in the lobby there someplace. That's where they've had to be. So
maybe they fell out of your pocket on that couch there in the front where you and Todd were clowning around at.
Very well could have. Very well could have. I don't know. Someone turned them in up at the they sat up at the desk, and then the desk brought them back to the see if anybody was missing them. So
Yeah.
looked out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was good, great time just to have some. I know I didn't get to get as involved with it because we were busy doing stuff, but the minute I was able to sneak away, I was out there in the lobby hanging out with you guys, just chatting it up and having some good conversation. Maybe we can get Todd to come back out. Maybe we can even bring Flip up from Texas and Keith out from North Carolina. You know,
I'm trying to
It's
figure
not
out who I can
too
hitch
far
a
to
ride
drive.
with.
Yeah, I could definitely swing by, or Keith and Chase can swing by as we head that way. So,
heck yeah, more the merrier. I'm looking forward to it. Honestly, one of the things that, so normally I wouldn't do like any presentations or whatever because we're pretty tied up and busy, and I'm typically moderating one of the rooms and such, and there just isn't time for it. But that Friday night before, we were looking to add as much value as we could from the intermediate level. And so, of course, there I had to ask Brian, I got an idea, man. And I'm like, need your help with this. And Brian was more than happy to accommodate. And so I got him to agree to come out to St. Louis and help him help teach some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about, particularly on Friday. But he's going to be giving a presentation, at least one presentation on Saturday too. So, and that's going to be a good time. Looking forward to all the conversation, networking. And like I said, I'm definitely looking forward to that Friday night, Brian and I doing some stuff together. So that's going to be good. Hey, he's trash talking me. And I mean, were my sales pretty good on, let's see, what it would have been Friday or Saturday? How are my sales? Did I do pretty good with that? I was selling a product I didn't even produce.
Well, on Saturday, I'm going to have a really busy day. We have market until noon, and then we have to get ready and drive all the way out to Anson, which is 3 hours away, and then get the bees ready to move, and then wait till dark and pack them in the truck and head back to Richland, which is 4 hour drive. We'll probably get there like 2 a.m. and go to bed, and then get up, put the hives back on the stands, and then pull all the honey off of them.
That sounds like a good time.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah. It's gonna be quite a.
Hey, Philip, what town do you live in Texas?
I live in Coppell. Coppell.
I just want to see how far it is from you to me.
I think it's 11 or 12 hours. About 11 hours, I think. I checked it last year.
Well, let's see. If I go from town center to town center, looks like it's about, well, at this time of the day,
Right.
it said it's 9 hours and 5 minutes.
Oh, really? That's so quick.
Yeah, because you would kind of basically head north. 75?
I guess it looked like it was due north of us.
Yeah.
Get
Well, but
one
then you catch Interstate 44, just east of Tulsa by, I don't know, 100 miles or so, and then you basically head straight up 44 all the way into St. Louis.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to that or not. I didn't really know much about it. I think that's the Texas Beekeepers Association meeting in Waco. I might go to that. It's not very far for me to drive. It was in Dallas last year, so that was nice. Or Plano.
Gosh, Philip, you're only 17 hours from me.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's an easy drive.
I'll tell you what, it wasn't much closer to, it was like 14 hours over to Sevierville because my
Yeah.
father-in-law lives there. So
Yeah.
we were going there every year for a long time. But yeah, you must be pretty close to Sevierville then, or a couple
A lot
hours.
closer to Sevierville than I am to Capella. Or Capel.
Capel, yeah.
So you're not far from Dallas.
No, it's a northern suburb of Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Richland is about an hour and a half south of Dallas, just south of Corsicana.
Funny, you got a little town to the north of you called Louisville.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just to the east of me.
Oh, is it?
Hey, so when is the Waco conference?
Yeah, it said November.
Oh, late November. I see it
Late
now.
November. Yeah. And that'll also depend on I think last year that conference, they might have had it on a day I had market. I was thinking I was going to have to skip October, but I'm thinking now I can maybe make I only do the first and third weekends of the month. So I think I've got enough honey. I can make the first weekend of October. And then I think I can harvest a good bit of my fall honey before the second weekend in October, and then go right on through to Christmas. So we'll see. I reserved enough of the other honeys to make the little small jars and put in the gift sets and put with candles and lip balm and all that. That's a big seller for me around Christmas, is those little gift sets. I'll sell probably a couple hundred of those. But yeah, has everybody got their honey sent in for the contest on Sunday?
What's Sunday?
The Gunline unofficial honey contest.
Yeah.
Is it Saturday or Sunday?
I'm sorry. You're sorry. You're right. Saturday.
Okay.
Saturday. Yeah. And they're going to, well, I thought they were going to do it on Joey's, but I think they're actually going to start at like 5 o'clock or something.
Oh, wow.
They're going to start it really early. I'm probably not going to get to see much of it because that's the day I'll be getting stuff ready and traveling a lot. So I'll try to listen in. We'll see.
I don't always get to log on to that one. A lot of times we're having some family time then, so
Right.
I try to log in a little bit when I can, but
But I don't know. That might actually be a pretty good. Well, we'll probably be getting to Anson about 4 or 5 o'clock.
so Philip, are you slated to make any more honey display shelving units for Nabi this year, or are they all good?
Yeah, I'd like to make some more. I need to figure out how to promote it. What I did, hold on, let me get something and show you what the last thing I did was.
Okay.
Made a little improvement on it. Let me see if I can grab one. So Noah had knocked one of these off of a table and it split like right up the grain right here
Mm-hmm.
where this deep cut is. And then I got from Sean Booters. He had bought one and he had told me that it was cracked right here. And I think it had cracked when this other piece was forced in.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been even before I sent it to him. But then he also knocked his off the table and it split in that same spot. So what I've done now is flip it over. Let's see if you guys can see that. Is that? Can you see that? There's a little bow tie patch in there. You see that, Ricky? You'll appreciate
Yeah.
that.
How you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Doing all
But
right.
anyway, that's a little bow tie insert, which I think will stop it from splitting at that location. So I'm doing
Hey,
that on every
how many
one.
of you hate niggers also? Can you let me
All
know?
right. Can you get rid of this? Thank you. I knew something like that was coming from that guy. But anyway, that's the change. But yeah, Tom, I'd like to. I just need to, if anybody wants to buy them, I probably need to make a little video and see if anybody wants one. Sure, we'd like to make a few.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a good little change. Good little. That's the thing with woodworking. You find something that's maybe not quite what you wanted, and make a little change, and it turns out so much better.
Yeah. And plus, I bought myself a plunge router, so every project's an excuse to get a new tool.
Nice. Well, that your little what do they call that little thing? The little bow tie, the piece that goes in there. I've seen those before because when you're got a crack in wood, you can stop it from happening basically with that, right?
Yeah.
Kind of
you
you're
stop
changing the grain up a little bit. I guess that's where it comes in handy.
Yeah, you're putting more grain perpendicular to the natural grain.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's called a bow tie, and some people call it a butterfly.
Okay.
But
Yeah, Rhonda, we hope you and Randy can make it up. That was be great to try to visit with y'all just a little bit.
Well, folks, we're going to go ahead and close the chat out here tonight. Let's pray for Jace and his mom. That things maybe get a little bit better for them, and also remember my cousin's wife. My nephew's wife. She cut the tip of her finger off. That's kind of why we wasn't on the other night. And then they wrapped it too tight, and then they just sent a message said it was really getting bad. They're going to send her to Winston tonight and see what they can do with it. So it's not a good situation. So just remember those things. Let's as beekeepers stick together. Just enjoy being together, and hope to see everybody at the dinner before the Nobby. So, but anyway, we're going to close it down there tonight. And as always, God bless, and we'll see you next time.
good night, everybody.